Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Black Spinner Vidcast with Al Horta and Andy Rodriguez. This is our first episode in a few weeks, so we're very excited to be back. Different things pop up. Things that we have to do with our families and other obligations. So we've been unable to get on here on Wednesdays. Like next Wednesday, I won't be able to be on because I'm gonna go see Saxon with Uriah Heep.
Oh
I'll
yeah,
be
cool.
out next Saturday. Next Wednesday, but we will be with. I will be watching that show with one of our good friends, Brad. I'm going to meet Brad Dahl there.
Oh,
So he's
cool.
coming down to Houston, so I'll be able to see a show with him. But once again, our co-host Al Horta, how's it going, Al?
I'm doing great, man. Yeah, it's been. I'm kind of missing this, man. It's like,
Yeah,
I think it's been like 3 weeks since we did a show.
yeah. It's
Although
been
we did do the BS sessions together the other
yeah.
last week or something. So,
The week before, I was unable to make it
oh,
last week.
last week you couldn't make it. That's right, because
Yeah,
yeah, you had some unfortunate things.
yeah. And
So
so I sent all my replies, which they were read incorrectly, but that's okay.
yeah,
but
you should have sent them to me. I would have did it.
yeah, but thing is that I forgot at first I ranked them, and then I was gonna turn it into an album, and then I forgot. Oh well, I ran out of time,
Oh, okay.
and I wasn't able to do that. But here we are. Today's episode, we are going to be doing another episode that's going to go inside with our album review section. Today we are going to be doing the 1994 album by the band Weezer, Pinkerton, which was their second album, which was released in 1994. But before we get to
It was
that,
actually '96. It was released.
it was 96.
Yeah, '94 was the Blue album.
Oh, it's 96. You're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
You're right. And I'm supposed to be the expert on this album, and I don't even know when it was released. But before we get to that, we are going to talk about what we've been listening to and what we've been up to. Al was just on Decibel Geek, the great Decibel Geek
Oh
podcast,
yeah.
and so that was part of a roundtable. Why don't you tell everyone what that was about, Al?
Well, Chris Sinzak was kind enough to invite me on, and I was very humbled because I was part of an. I was in the middle of like an esteemed, who's who of like podcasting. I mean, you
Wow.
had Julian Gill of the Kiss Safe FAQ, and David Bradley. He's kind of he's pretty. He lives in the Nashville area, so he's pretty big in the podcasting world. We got and Baco, Jason Backen
Yeah.
was on there, and really, man, and so I was like humbled to be like, because I don't consider myself like big in this kind of thing. I mean, still an amateur, and it was so cool of Chris to invite me on with all these really great guys, man, and they're also really cool, man. And we are talking about like it was really a roundtable for the upcoming Rocket Pod next year,
Hmm.
and just basically just shooting the shit, man. Just kind of just going around the horn and just kind of sharing. Everybody was kind of sharing different things about, actually about like the podcasting world and everything. We were talking about like, is the pros, not the pros and cons, but like, a lot of these guys start out in podcasting like audio only or doing mostly audio. Julian, I think, said he started out really, he was kind of ahead of the curve a little bit. Like he started out writing video and kind of, so we were talking about like, is video kind of, what's the difference between video and audio? And I kind of, I don't really differentiate the two really because I started out just making a YouTube channel and just making small videos talking about music. Same with you, Andy. I mean,
Yeah.
we kind of just started out like, I didn't know anything about podcasting. I mean, I don't know. I still don't really know. I never delved into that whole audio world, like, just making an audio recording and putting it out there. But I'm very happy doing just like video type stuff. But if we can get more into like the audio realm of it, hey, that's cool. I want to
Yeah.
start learning more about like editing and things like that. I want to start kind of immersing myself into that world. I actually want to. talking to these guys. All these guys had microphones and all that stuff, and I really need to really invest in like that kind of stuff. And but they were saying you don't have to get the best shit. You get a good mic, and that's really get a couple of little things, and that's really good enough, man. So, I mean, these guys, I'll listen to these guys because they've been around a long time, and basically, so we were just Chris didn't really reveal any. He says there's going to be a big reveal soon about like I guess guests coming up on the Rock and Pod and all that, and I'm looking forward to it because I really want to make this one next year. I want to go to it, and I'm still not going to be big enough to have my own table, but I just want to go there, wander around, and meet all the other podcasters, and just basically like just have a good time, man. And again, Chris, man, if you're listening, thank you for inviting me on. I appreciate it very much, man.
Yeah, yeah. We always post our shows on the Decibel Geek page, and they're always
Facebook page, yeah.
And they are always so grateful to allowing us to do that.
Yeah.
And
because I know some groups, man, they kind of frown upon that. Yeah. There's a lot of I've posted things like on certain groups kind of through my Facebook page, and then it gets like shut down. Like they don't want you. There's certain pages they don't want you promoting like your thing. Whereas my page and your page and Decibel Geek and a lot of our friends that are podcasters and have our own pages, we kind of welcome and like kind of help each other out promoting our shows. But like there's some channels where they don't want you unless it's like you're just posting straight to their page about something. They don't want you promoting anything of like outside of that kind of group. So it's kind of weird, man. I guess I guess that's their choice. That's their page. They're
right. But thing is that I never think of it as promoting. I just think of it as informing and just
exactly. Yeah. I never think of it as a competition with me. It's not like it's not a competition.
No.
I mean, I was telling them guys, I was like, listen, man, I got into this for the fun of it, man. Like it just, it's like I described it as like when we were younger, man, we'd go to our friend's house and we'd throw on an album and listen to the album, maybe 3, 4, or 5 of us hanging out, having a beer or whatever, and just listening to music and enjoying it and just bullshitting about music and life. And it just kind of, the whole internet age now kind of, this is kind of like the whole computerized version of that.
Right. It is. It really is.
It's just a couple of friends for me. It's just a couple of friends getting together and talking about our favorite albums and exposing our other friends to things that we don't know about. It's like, when you go over a friend's house here and you bring an album over or whatever, hey, let's check this out. And then they discover it. And everything was like word of mouth, man, and it was awesome, man. It was awesome times. And I kind of like to think of it as like the 21st century version of that. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
So, yeah, it was cool of Chris to invite me on. Thank you, man.
Yeah, that's cool. So our next segment that we've been doing lately, and I really enjoyed, is what's spinning. So what have you been listening to lately?
Oh, well, man, I've been spinning this one by Frank Zappa.
Oh yeah, One Size Fits
All. Yeah, One Size Fits All, man. I mean, I love this. I've always liked this album, and I hadn't listened to it in a long time, and I was thoroughly enjoying it. So that I got that. I'm spinning the Saigon Kick Lizard album. I'm actually going to see a Saigon Kick this Friday live here in Clearwater, Florida, and I'm kind of a little bummed, because it's without Matt Kramer, their lead vocalist. It's Jason Bieler is it's just kind of a trio, not a trio, but it's just Jason Bieler is the front man and longtime drummer Phil Varone, the two guys from the original lineup, and they're promoting the 30th anniversary of their third album, Water, which was when Matt Kramer had left before that. Matt Kramer left after this album, The Lizard, and Jason Bieler, the guitarist and songwriter, he took over the vocals of the third album. So they're really promoting their third album with him as a vocalist on there. And it kind of sucks because there's a war between Matt Kramer and the other two guys, and It's like I'm friends with all of them and on Facebook, and it just sucks. I just kind of a neutral party. I don't get, being in a band, and I've been in bands. It is like a marriage.
Yeah.
It's you have fights, you have disagreements, and sometimes it can get ugly. And this is one of those instances where like it's an ugly kind of battle between those guys, and it sucks,
Oh,
man. 'Cause I like Matt Kramer a lot. He's a cool dude. I met him when Saigon Kick played in New York City 10 years ago, like 2012, so 12 years ago, when they reunited again and then did a tour. And he couldn't have been a nicer guy, man.
oh,
But you know what? I got some free tickets. I want to go check out the show anyway. I love Saigon Kick. I always have. So, I hope Matt doesn't get mad at me. I'm not going to really post much from the show, though. I'm
yeah.
just kind of going to go. And I doubt he's listening to this right now anyway. But hey, you never know. Matt, if you're listening, I still love you, man. I'm not choosing sides. So that I've been spending that. I just got this in the mail. Some cool. I belong to like I belong to. It's Steve Hoffman Forums. Steve Hoffman is a mastering engineer, and I belong to his. I mean, there's still music forums out there. I don't know if anybody remembers where you post a thread and people
Yes.
respond. It
Yeah.
was before Facebook and any of that, these kind of things, but that is still active. That forum, and I still go on there every day because everybody talks about
Every
like,
day? Wow.
yeah, I just check it out, man. I have it, I have it on
Yeah.
my phone. When I'm on a break, I'll go on there and stuff. But they have a cool kind of a classifieds section where you can, if you have albums to sell or CDs or whatever, you can go up there on there and actually sell them if you want.
Yeah.
Well, they have a section on there called Pay It Forward. You can actually post an album, and if somebody's interested in it, you mail it to them, and then they pay it forward by mail it. They post up an album. Is anybody interested in this? And if somebody says, "Hey, I'd like to get that," so it's kind of like an ongoing pay it forward.
Right.
It really, you're kind of, once you receive an album, you then
Give
it's
an
like,
album.
well, listen, I got a duplicate of this album. Let me put this up. You know, um, as long as it's not like thrift store like junk. Because some people, because on there like people post up like good quality albums, and I just received this one today actually. Joy Division, Closer.
Wow.
Yeah, the
Wow.
Closer vinyl.
Yeah.
And the guy sent me this, man. This is like, I mean, it's still like in the shrink wrap and everything. It's basically a brand new like vinyl, man. I looked at the vinyl itself though; it has been played, and there's a couple of little light marks on it, but nothing.
Right.
I mean, it's beautiful, man. And I like Joy Division, man. So I was like, yeah, let me get that. So, and somebody had. I had an extra Night Ranger album, actually, the second album, Midnight Madness. So I had posted that up, and somebody already claimed that. So I just mailed that out. So it's kind of an ongoing thing. Like people can claim,
cool.
and then they post up. As long as if you claim something, you got to put something up. So
Right.
it's
You can't just take.
yeah.
You can't just receive. You gotta give.
Yeah, you got to give back. You get you take something and you give back something. So there might be some things in your record collection you're not. Hey, I tried it out. I don't really like it. So other people might like it. So you post it up, and So I got that in the mail today, actually.
Oh, that's
and,
cool.
Yeah. So those are the couple of things I've been checking out. How about you, brother?
Oh yeah, with me, last week for Mother's Day weekend, I went down to go visit my mom in Corpus, and of course, I had to hit up the used bookstore where
Hey, of course, man.
to go pick up some stuff. And I picked up an album by Prince called Musicology. And
Oh,
I'm
okay.
the biggest Prince fan, but that might change. I was listening to Musicology, and it blew me away. I was like, "Wow, this is a really good album." It touched on funk, on rock, hard rock, on R&B, and really good songwriting. And I
Yeah.
thought, I've got a little bit of Prince here, so I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and I had like Prince the hits side one and side two.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought, cool. Let me throw that on. I was like, I wasn't really feeling it. And then it struck me why Prince never really struck me. It was because I wasn't that big on his hit songs,
Yeah.
but I do like his complete album. So I came home and I started looking through my cassettes, and I pulled this one out, Prince,
Oh yeah.
and
That's a classic.
Purple Rain. And
Yeah.
I always paid attention to just the hit songs. But last week and of this week, when I threw this on, just pressed play and heard the whole thing, it was so good. It's just a good, cohesive pop rock album.
Yeah.
And then I pulled out this one, which was Around the World in a Day.
Okay.
Put this one in there.
Yeah.
And I think it came out after Purple Rain. Am I correct? It was the next one after Purple Rain.
I believe you're correct. Yeah. I think so.
So I came up with a conclusion. If I'm going to listen to Prince, it's not going to be his hit collection because that really didn't grab me. It's his complete albums
Yeah.
that I really enjoy from him. So
I I will tell you about the hits and the B the hits. I bought the 3 disc set like years
okay,
ago when it came out, and I had the B sides disc in there too. And I gotta
yeah,
tell you, man, that was probably the disc I played the most. I mean, he had some great B sides on there, man. And I don't know if you just have volume 1 and 2 of the hits, right?
right,
What do you have on a vinyl or?
no on CD.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, I've got that one in
Yeah.
the car because I've been going back and forth this whole past week. So I took some CDs with me so I can hear them in the car,
Yeah.
and that was one of them. But it just wasn't as cohesive as I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
But I'm going to keep on trying to get into that. But when it comes to his albums, I really enjoyed those. So I've already
Yeah,
heard.
well, maybe that's just better for you just to listen to his albums, and check
Yeah,
out, complete albums and stuff,
yeah,
you
because
know.
I've always been a complete album kind of guy.
Yeah,
Compilations are fine, but I really enjoy a whole piece of an album. And
yeah.
speaking of albums, today we are going to be talking about the album by Weezer called Pinkerton, their second album that was released in 1996. Thank you, Al.
Okay.
I kept messing up on that one. When this one came out, it was a big disappointment according to critics and fans alike, but not me. I really enjoyed the album the first time it came out. It was released September 24th of 1996. Guitarist and vocalist Rivers Cuomo, which I've always been a big fan of his, wrote most of Pinkerton while he was studying at Harvard. Because if y'all remember, after the Blue Album, he went back to school and he was out of the music business for a couple of weeks. After that, after that, he had abandoned a plan for a rock opera called "The Songs from the Black Hole." Now, that's what I was going to pull out. Was I've got this 2 CD set called Alone, the recordings of Rivers Cuomo, which were basically like like
Demos, right?
demos and stuff like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's got songs for the Black Hole in its entirety on there. So that was pretty cool to listen to. And the album is named. Get this, dude. This was so crazy. It's named after B.F. Pinkerton, who was one of the main characters in the opera Madame Butterfly. And I've never seen the opera Madame Butterfly, but I saw it last Friday um, in downtown Houston.
Oh wow.
Um, the the Houston Grand Opera did a free performance of it.
Yeah.
So Molly and I went, and man, I've always known that Rivers Cuomo used Madame Butterfly as a template or some kind of inspiration for this album. But man, I didn't know he lifted so much from there, and I will talk about that later. But that's where this album came from was the inspiration for Madame Butterfly. It debuted at number 19 on the U.S. Billboard. It failed to meet sales expectations, and it also got mixed reviews. Rolling Stone readers, which I was one back in the mid '90s, voted as the third worst album of 1996. The third worst.
Yeah, they got
Harsh.
yeah.
Um, It was self-produced. The first one was produced by Rick Ocasek, from the Cars. And then after he got such bad reviews on this one, if y'all remember, the Green Album came out almost immediately, and it kind of went back to sounding like the Blue Album. They had this just threw away the feel of the Pinkerton album, and they never released another album like Pinkerton again, and which is either a shame or a blessing, because this is still my favorite album by a Weezer, and we will go through this track by track, and we will talk about it, and I will also do my ratings, 1 to 5, one being a bad song, 5 being perfect, and we went over that grading system when we did Al's choice of April Wine a couple weeks ago, which was a great, fantastic album,
Yeah.
harder and faster. Y'all can check that out on either YouTube page, either the Black Spinner Circle or Al's other page, Be Cool or Be Podcast Out. So just in a nutshell, before we start to break down this album, what did you think about the album, Al?
Well, admittedly, when this album came out, I didn't even get it, man. Like I didn't even buy it. I remember hearing I don't know, man. Yeah. And I remember hearing the first single, El Scorcho,
Mm-hmm.
and I did enjoy it. But for some reason, I don't know. I don't know, man. I just didn't go out and buy the album. And I just kind of forgot about it, man. I didn't really, it just kind of just passed through my fingers. I was reading, like, I guess I was kind of reading the bad reviews on it and all that. And kind of was like, maybe just kind of just let it go. But I remember a friend of mine who I went to high school with, he had the album, and I remember he let me borrow it, and I listened to it, and I did like it, man. I thought it was a pretty damn solid album, and I was like, I don't understand what the bad reviews were. Now, admittedly, like I still didn't buy it, and I actually I hate to say it, man, but I don't own a physical copy of it. But I'm going to rectify it after this because I am going to buy a copy of it, whether I get it on CD or vinyl or whatever. I know there's a deluxe version of it, and that
Yeah,
has been released like since. Do you have that one?
I got the deluxe on CD,
Yeah.
but you don't have to go for the deluxe.
Yeah. What is it like? Is it live stuff or just like demos of the
It's
album or?
it's demos and live, but a lot of the same songs are repeated,
Oh,
which
okay.
sometimes I don't like about the deluxe. They've got like maybe 3 or 4 songs that didn't make it on the album, but there's like another
I think there was some B sides that weren't on the album as
right,
well. I think so.
like
Yeah.
the sides. But then there's so many songs that are repeated, like the Good Life is on there like 5 times,
Yeah.
and a
So
Scorpio a couple of times,
yeah.
and
So reevaluating this album and listening to it, I shit, man, I like it, man, a lot. It's really, really good. I remember people were saying it wasn't as heavy or guitar heavy as, and I'm like, I don't know where they were getting that from because there's a lot of guitar in this album,
yeah,
and to me, it's like it's more raw and kind of more live in your face than the Blue album was. The Blue, I almost, and I've heard this comparison before. It's almost kind of like the Blue album was kind of like Weezer's, like Nirvana's Nevermind, where it was kind of like real catchy, had really kind of almost, I'm not gonna say slick production, but it had nice kind of radio friendly kind of production to it. Whereas this one is kind of like they're in utero when they really went back and kind of just captured a loud, raw, like in your face, kind of abrasive, almost an abrasive sound,
yeah,
on the album. And it kind of, again, in reading up on it, I know Rivers Cuomo was kind of going through a lot of things. Like I think he had surgery to kind of have his, because he was born, I think, one leg shorter than the other,
yeah,
and he had some sort of surgery to kind of lengthen his leg to be the same length as his other, and it was very painful for him, and he couldn't walk for a long time, and just a lot of this album was kind of written out, like through, I guess, like the whole success of like the Blue album and touring and becoming this rock star, which Rivers is kind of almost kind of an anti-rock star.
yeah,
It was the era of like kind of the anti-rock star. It was almost kind of like nerdy rockers kind of coming out and kind of
Yeah,
taking over. And I always thought of Rivers and Weezer kind of like, like Revenge of the Nerds. Like these guys came out like rocking, man, and they look like nerds almost. You
yeah,
know what I mean? And it's not a bad thing.
no,
I love the Blue album, man. I mean that album grabbed me right out of the gate. But for some reason maybe I played that album so much, and when this album came out, maybe I just was kind of over them in a way. I don't
yeah,
know. I don't know why I didn't get it. But listening back on this album, I really want to go out and get a physical copy of it and have it, own it. So, but yeah, it's kind of like In Utero, like kind of reminds me of that, like where it's a reaction against the Blue album, the slick kind of production and the real catchy songs. Some of these songs on here almost kind of you can almost kind of feel an uncomfortableness when you're like listening to them. It's kind of like this whole kind of discordant, like ways that Rivers came up with like riffs and chords and all that stuff. It's almost kind of makes you feel uncomfortable a little bit. The kind of the way In Utero kind of made me feel. I remember when I first heard that album, I was like, "Whoa, this is a complete 180 that from Nevermind, complete
yeah,
different sound."
yeah.
You know?
It was like the Blue album and Nevermind were a little bit too calculated. You
Yeah,
get what I mean? And then afterwards, they shit that and pretty much just played raw.
yeah.
Like it's like they went into the recording studio and pressed record and
I just
boom,
went
go.
for it, man.
Yeah,
So that's the impression that I got for this album. I was pleasantly surprised listening to this album again. Like, I mean, I hadn't listened to it probably since the '90s, and it is. And I remember like with the advent of the internet and everything, it kind of started growing in stature. It became one of those cult classics, almost. And I kind of attribute that almost kind of like the Beastie Boys' Paul's Boutique, where it was a flop when it came out, and then all of a sudden it's regarded as this like landmark, very influential album. I mean, I think a lot of bands point to this album, Pinkerton, as a big influence. So a lot of the kind of the emo bands that came out like in the 2000s and everything, like Jimmy Eat World and bands like that,
right.
kind of like look to this album as like a big influence on them. Now, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, it's up to the I'm particularly not a big emo kind of
Yeah, I
guy.
know.
No,
Oh, I'm a. I mean, I've got no care for emo, and that's what kind of
yeah,
gets
that's what kind of
me
threw me
away.
off too. It's like this kind of spawned. They say that this album kind of spawned the whole emo kind of genre, Whereas like I don't know, I'm not a particular fan of the emo, but I do think this album is great. So I don't know, I guess, you know, I guess you could kind of attribute it. Hey, listen, man, Van Halen kind of spearheaded the kind of hair metal, glam metal era of the '80s, and a lot of people might not like that stuff, but Van Halen is always regarded as a groundbreaking kind of band. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, it's almost kind of that way, man. It almost spawns like a genre, but the people who spawn the genre are just they're like they set on top. They're kind of a whole different kind of a whole thing unto itself. You know what I mean? So.
It's
I
kind
hope
of
some.
like
I hope people get what I'm saying.
yeah, it's kind of like the media has to label everything.
Yeah,
Everything has to be labeled. Everything has to be in some kind of category.
yeah.
And for some
Good
reason,
music is just good music, man.
yeah,
You know.
yes, yeah. Sometimes just enjoy it. You don't need to define it. It
Yeah,
doesn't have to be in any kind of class.
yeah,
So when I was reading up on this, and they kept on bringing emo, because emo doesn't even. I mean, emo. It's not a very good. It's not a very exciting genre of music at all to me.
yeah. And I know there are people that love that stuff, but
Yeah.
it's just not really my thing.
And
But
another thing with Jimmy Roll, you brought them up, and I don't think they're emo at all. I just think they're a pop rock band.
yeah,
And the same thing with I know that Blink 182 made an album that sounded kind of emo, which was their debut with no, I'm sorry, not their debut album, but their self-titled album from I believe it was like I forgot the year, but it was a very good album and it's one of my favorites by them. But that sounded a little bit more emo, but I'm not into that kind of music. But
yeah,
it is what it is, and people say
yeah,
this and people say that.
yeah,
Tomato, tomato. But let's get started on this album, shall we? The first track, "Tired of Sex," right there tells you right off the bat that he wants to get back to being himself and just stop being this, living this rock star lifestyle. And you can tell that this is going to be a different album by just the feedback and the drum intro, you
Yeah,
know, and then boom, and Pat Wilson, I believe that's the drummer.
yeah.
He was a beast on this album,
Oh
dude.
yeah, man. I love this drum sound on here, man.
Yes, dude. It was right there in your face, and it didn't overtake the music.
Yeah.
His drum fills were fantastic, and it just pushed the music to the front. It was great.
I'm
Um,
yeah.
and right off the bat, this album's different from the Blue. It tells you right there from the first beats. This is gonna be a completely different album. The vocals scream going into the second verse. This song is a great opener. I gave it a 5, which 5 is an excellent song for me. What did you think about "Tired of Sex"?
Oh well, I mean, lyrically, yeah. I mean, he basically like he's this rock star that just kind of wants to get back to normalcy in a way. You know, it's like I mean, rock
I
stars
mean,
are known
tired of
for.
sex. Who gets tired of sex?
But listen,
Hey,
man, when groupies throw themselves at you at every minute, every day, and things like that, and you're so popular, and I guess you can get it could happen, man. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
you're
It's
just like, okay, come on,
yeah,
come on,
I know.
and
I think of that too, and I'm like, dude, come on, man. All the women you probably had and stuff, and
right.
you
And
know,
he goes by the days of the week, and then and names different girls for the different days.
yeah,
It gets exhausting by the end of the song. You're like, okay,
yeah.
I get it.
I
Dude,
and I dug the guitars, man. I dug the drums, and I even Matt Sharp's bass playing. Like he's got this fuzzed out like bass. I'm like, it's almost like they just got together, just in live in the studio, man. And like you said before, they pressed record, and I think they just fucking went for it, man. And it's very much almost kind of reminds me of a throwback like retro '70s album in a way. Where kind of a noisy album, like almost punkish, like kind of has this punk like kind of ethics to it, ethos to it, you know, and with the feedback and fucking, Rivers comes in with this cool like solo kind of gets like real loud solo. It just all of a sudden comes out of nowhere. It's like holy shit, it's I like it, man. It's a great opener to the album.
yeah, yeah, and also throughout this album, the backing vocals and then the harmonies were all done live on one mic. Just to get that feel instead of recording them separately and putting it back on tape. They did it organically, and
Yeah,
that's what really makes the feel
instead of overdubbing them, yeah, they just
yeah
kind of all three of them did it together, yeah, around the mic.
live. Yeah,
And again, I mean, that's definitely like a throwback to '70s, probably
yeah,
'60s style recording. It's just
yeah,
and I think it's awesome, man. That they kind of more bands should fucking do albums like this. To be
yeah.
honest with you, man, you know,
And you wouldn't think why not? It's cheaper and it's quicker. I mean, why would you want to edit when
yeah,
you just get it right off the floor?
yeah. Rehearse the songs, get them down, and then go in and record them, man.
Yeah, you're
Boom.
professionals. You
Yeah,
you know, let's do it
yeah,
instead of us people who love music and hear music all the time. You can tell
yeah,
when things are authentic and when things are prefabricated. You can just
yeah,
tell. And this was so authentic. Track number 2, we are going to go with "Get You." The second track, to me, the riffs on this track are intoxicating, man, and the harmonies just like we were talking about. They were done old fashioned with with songs where they sing together on one mic, and then you can really tell in the second track the breakdown of the bridge. You know what I'm talking about when they slow it
yeah.
down
Oh yeah, yeah,
and then they bring it all back to the very beginning. The structures of these songs are nothing like Off the Blue. They really did work hard on making this completely different, and they
yeah.
really hit the ball out of the ballpark with this album. What did you think about the Get You track? Oh yeah, I give this one a 4. This fall a notch below the 5 for me.
Another great song, dude. I mean, I dig the guitars on it, and get you, get you, get you. You know, like I don't know. It just sounds like Rivers is like just kind of like pissed off, man. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
and then when they break it down, I can't believe, and
Yeah,
then the drums, dude, and
yeah,
then the backing vocals and the harmonies, and then dude,
yeah,
it's a badass track. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I really applaud them for like going a different direction than the Blue album, just
yeah,
completely doing a 180 and just doing a completely different. That's a ballsy move, man. You know, coming off your first album, that's a huge hit album, and just completely like, all right, that was one thing. We're gonna do this now. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
and you know, I was reading that the record company was actually like worried and all that stuff. You know, Geffen Records, and you
And it
know,
backfired on them, dude. It backfired.
they backfiring them, man. You
Yeah,
know, and you know, there was negative reaction to that, man.
yeah,
You know, and I think that's why, you know, Rivers kind of after this album and tour, they went away for a few years, man.
yep,
You know, it wasn't until like 2001, right, when they came out with the Green album,
yeah,
if I'm correct.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's, you know, that's a good 5 years already. And 5 years being away in the music business, that's a long time, man. You know, half a decade. You know, I actually have a friend of mine. He's was the drummer in my band. I mean, we we've known each other for a long time. We still, you know, talk and stuff. And he still lives in New Jersey. And he actually went to go see Weezer on his tour, on his Pinkerton tour, down in Asbury Park, New Jersey. They played a place called Convention Hall. And he says he actually recorded and everything. He has like a bootleg of it. He bought a recorder and recorded the concert. And but he said the concert was like insane. It was great, you know.
Yeah.
And but they were playing smaller places again because it was like a little theater, you know. Whereas on the, you know, they were big on the Blue album. You know, I think they were playing already. Like, I don't know. You know, I didn't never saw them live that early, so I don't know if they were playing arenas already off that first album or anything like that. But he said that it wasn't packed at all. It was kind of like a lot of empty seats. I guess people, you know, with this album was kind of negative. And he actually, like, him and his friend were outside and they actually ran into Rivers Cuomo. I think when Rivers came to the venue, I guess they got to the venue early or something.
Right.
When Rivers got there and he was walking in, and they actually met him, and he was like, you know, kind of just a shy, reserved kind of guy, you know. But he talked to them and
I can see
stuff.
that.
Yeah, so he said, but he said that he was really cool. He was a nice guy, you know. So
Yeah. You see, I didn't see that tour, but I saw them right before the Green album. So
oh, okay.
playing a lot of songs off of this. They were like kind of hitting the road again, and like your buddy was saying, this was a small nightclub where they were playing. It was called Numbers, and
Okay.
it's still open, and it's just outside of downtown Houston. And I believe it was like in 2000, so it was right before the Green album, but they were still playing a lot off of Pinkerton.
Oh, okay.
It was like, I mean, packed in there because it wasn't even a hall. It was like a dance club
Yeah.
where you would go on a Friday or a Saturday night. If
Yeah.
y'all kind of picture that, and there was a little stage in the corner, and my cousin and I went, and dude, it's like it was like you could barely breathe because there were so many people there,
Oh,
and I
wow.
could barely see the band, but I was able to hear it. I was every once in a while I was able to get a glimpse of the stage because I'm kind of a short stature, so I was in the back. But
Yeah.
it was, I mean, the music was intoxicating, and
I mean, I didn't get to see Weezer live until only a few years ago. Um, it was right. It was before. It was right when they came out when they did the cover for Africa and it got big.
yeah,
So
that
was that like that was right before the pandemic? I think, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
that
think it was
was
in
that
summer
album.
of. I think it was the summer of 2019 when I saw them, and they blew me away, dude. I mean, I thought they were awesome, and that's the only time I've seen them live. I want to see them again, you know. But
Yeah.
when if they come around down here in Florida, I'll definitely go check them out, you know. So
Yeah, I've seen them about 5 or 6 times, but I haven't seen them since their last album that I really liked from them was "Everything Will Be Okay in the End,"
Yeah.
which was a really good back to basics kind of album.
See, I haven't really followed their catalog, like I got to go back and because I know they've been very hit or miss. They'll come out with a really good album, and then
Yeah,
sometimes they'll come out with an album that's a bit, kind of mediocre or whatever. And it seems to be kind of they kind of go up and down a bit, But
yeah,
a lot, man, when I saw them live, though, man, they were awesome, man. And
yeah.
the one
Here,
phenomenal thing, I will just say about Weezer, and then
yeah,
we can go on to whatever next track or whatever. Um, um, yeah, they seem to be that rare band that that keeps attracting a young audience. Because when I went to go see him, it was still it was a lot of young kids there, man. You know, and I'm just wondering, like, that's the kind of band they seem to attract like that kind of audience. You know,
yeah.
so
That's what I was about to say too.
oh
Because
okay,
their last albums for the past 5 or 7 years have been a little bit more poppy, or like a little bit more alternative pop,
yeah, yeah,
away from the sharp guitars that we fell in love with.
yeah,
So they have been able to bridge the gap and bridging it very successfully with the younger crowd.
yeah, yeah,
Because I still hear them quite a lot on Out Nation, and
yeah,
their last few albums, like The White and Pacific Daydream, were a little bit more pop oriented.
yeah,
So that's where you're getting the younger crowd that follows them. That's why they can still pretty much carry a tour or even carry a festival with
yeah,
their things being big after
yeah,
all 30 years of being in the business.
yeah. Oh yeah, man. Yeah,
When a lot of their peers, they can still play festivals, but their names are very small towards the bottom of the list. Weezer is still on a block
yeah. Oh yeah,
on the near the top of the headliners.
yeah.
So they seem to be able to change with the times and do it pretty organically. It's just that it doesn't really grab me. And I've told myself I need to go back and really pay attention to them, but I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, but like all the stuff that like I've been hearing like the last few albums and things,
Mm.
and I just really wish they could kind of just go like back to this. I know Rivers he kind of shuns this album a bit now, I guess, or he shunned it for a while, and I think maybe he warmed up to it again. But I think this is just kind of a one and done album for them. They'll never make an album like this ever
No.
again,
Mm-mm.
But I kind of wish it would just get into a recording studio live and just kind of do kind of an album like this. It doesn't have to be lyrically like this, but just get into a room and make
Sound.
a noisy guitar oriented album, dude. It would be
Yeah.
awesome. Like to hear them just kind of just let loose again, man. You know?
Yeah, yeah. I'll send you one of their latest ones. I will send it to you on a messenger, and I'll let you see what you think about that one because it falls in the same line of their early stuff. But
Which one is that one?
it's called oh, everything will be okay in the end.
That's the album?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Everything will be okay in the end. I think it was like towards the 2010. I've got it on vinyl, but it's on the other side
Okay.
of this room.
Because I
But
know
I'll
I
send
have Van Weezer on vinyl too, but I never really spent time with it, man. So how's that one?
that one I skipped.
Okay. You
Yeah,
never got that one.
nah, nah. I heard it for a while. I streamed it for a while, but it just wasn't. It starts off strong, but it goes back to their present sound. And you
Okay.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
So you
so
never picked it up.
no, nah.
Okay.
It was supposed to be like a tribute to Van Halen or
Yeah.
tribute to Eddie.
Yeah.
Being the guitar god, which is something that Rivers Cuomo has always loved, is that heavy hard rock, heavy metal guitar, which you
Yeah.
can hear from him from time to time, but it just didn't grab me. But I can always go back and try things again.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, track 3, no other one. Again, a great guitar intro. The lyrics are great, but kind of a repeated too much for me. On that one, it was just over and over on the chorus. It was just a little bit too much of repeat, what saved this track were the harmonies and the guitar parts spread throughout the track. That's what really saved this track for me. So I ranked it. I gave it a rating of a 3 on no other one. What do you think about that one, Al?
Yeah, it again, it kind of follows the kind of the whole. It seems like a lot of songs, man. Like it opens up with like a feedback guitar
Yeah,
and things like that. It's again, it's just a testament of like I think they just went to this recording studio. I think part of this was recorded at Sound City in
yeah, it was.
yeah in Hollywood. So and I think they recorded in a few different studios, but I know some of this was recorded there. And again, man, it's just like kind of like going in the studio and just it's like all right, man, press play. The volume is up on the amp, man. And when you turn the volume up on a guitar, as a guitar player myself, when you have the amps loud and as soon as you bring up that volume on a guitar, if you're facing toward the amp or whatever, you get that feedback, which I always love, man. I love that like kind of thing. It always reminds me of like kind of a Neil Young kind of like, when he's loud with like Crazy Horse and shit,
Yeah,
you know, it's like feedback is actually part of the music. They use that as part of the sound. And
it's not. It's not a mistake. Oh, get away from that. No, I'm not going to get away from that.
that's why I love that, man. And to me, albums nowadays are just they edited it too perfectly, and it just sounds just too perfect and meticulous.
Yeah,
And like you could tell, like just it's such a Pro Tools album. When you hear something like that, all the drum sounds are the same, and it's just like let's dial up this sound. And it's like nothing like going into an actual studio, using the actual acoustics of a room and mic placement and the old school mentality and old school way. Because I have gone into a recording studio and I've recorded songs with a band that I used to be in. So I kind of got that whole vibe, and it's like we experimented in there, man. You use the studio as like an instrument itself. You know what I mean? So
oh yeah,
and it's gotten so much away from that, man, and everything is so polished and just kind of sounds like sanitized. And I don't know, just I'm sure there's the albums out there, if you really dig deep in more underground kind of things that you'll get albums that sound great, like raw and stuff like that. But I do like this song though. I think it's a cool song.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
that's really it on that one, man.
yeah.
It's a little bit of a lesser song on the album for me as well. I agree with you on that.
Um,
So
track 4. Why bother? Oh shit, man! They really come back on this one. The drum intro really did lead into a fantastic punchy track, man. It really did. The subject matter is just like the first track: men and women using each other for sexual gratification, and then just moving on to the next person, the next person, and then you'll start to see that the concept of sex starts to change towards the end of the album. So that was the subject matter on here. But dude, what a fucking rocker, man!
oh
This
yeah,
this is
yeah.
great.
That drum and bass intro, man, with the fuzzed out bass, and
Yeah,
I love it, man. Matt Sharp, I think and this will be the last album that he would be on. He'd be
yeah,
on the first two albums, and then that was it. He left. I think he started a band called the Rentals or something.
yeah, yeah. They didn't last that long, but they had
No, no.
released a couple of albums before the Green one came out. Actually, they had released a couple of albums.
Yeah, but no, this is a great one, man. With the like the dun, 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 the riff kind of start stop. Um,
Yeah,
Almost has not a reggae feel, but almost like just kind of it just kind of goes for like a whole punk rock. It's almost punkish in a way,
yeah.
like for me,
Yeah, well, they were quick, short riffs, is what it was. That they would
yeah,
stop them and stop them and stop them.
you know, um, it's not only like a great like noisy. I think it's a great power pop like kind of album. Like
Yeah,
there's definite power pop influence on this. Maybe a little bit of a lesser degree than the Blue album. The Blue album seemed to have it a bit more, but because of more, I guess maybe Rick Ocasek producing it too was an influence on that kind of sound. But this one, like, it was almost just kind of like, again, we talked about it before. It's like, let's not have an outside producer. Let's just produce ourselves, go in and just fucking hash it out and bang it out. And it sounds like, it's probably not that much different than the demos, really,
yeah,
probably. I would
Yeah,
think,
exactly. Yeah,
So
but
yeah, great song though, man. I love this song.
yeah, yeah, me too. But sometimes it can be a bad thing to self-produce because sometimes a lot of bands get overindulgent, and
Yeah.
sometimes they need that outside producer to tell them, no more. And then sometimes you get gems by
Yes.
a band that says, you know what, let's just do it our way,
Yeah.
and they do, and sometimes it comes out great, and sometimes it gets overindulgent, just like anything else.
Yeah.
The last track off of this album, off side one, Across the Sea. Again, we're talking about guitar, how the guitar leads in with feedback. This time, this leads in with a little
Yeah.
piano, and then a riff,
Yeah.
and it starts off as it brings in the guitar. It kind of starts off as a mid tempo track,
Yeah.
and then it ends in a fury, dude. It just gradually gains speed, and the story that's being told. It's kind of like he tries to have a relationship with a fan that's in Japan, and they write letters, and they're going through this frustration and never being able to meet or ever to be with each other. And that's where the similarities to the opera Madame Butterfly happens,
Oh,
where
okay.
this U.S. naval guy named Pinkerton, Captain Pinkerton, goes to Japan and meets this young girl, and they have an affair, and then he decides to marry her because in his mind it's easier to get a divorce in Japan than it is in America, according to the play. I really don't know anything about the divorce rates in Japan. I really don't. But he thought that he could just marry her and leave her whenever he wanted to. So he goes away and goes back across the sea, goes back to America, gets married to an American, and then he comes back. And I'll talk about that again later on.
Okay.
And when he comes back like 5 years later to see her, well, she's got his kid, and he's not real. And then he decides that, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to let her know that I'm married, and I'm going to take the kid away, and I'm going to bring it back to America and raise it myself.
Wow.
And then in the end, the girl, commits suicide. There's never an opera that ends good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never seen opera that there's a great triumph. It's always tragedy.
Yeah.
So I will pull out some more similarities as we go throughout the album. But this is one of my favorite songs on the album, if not my favorite album, my favorite song. It just stuck out to me, the whole story, and the breakdown. It just comes in with such a hard, punkish type of ending,
Yeah.
and I gave it a solid five, and I knew that I was going to have this a solid five because it is one of my favorite, not just favorite tracks of this, but it might even be one of my favorite Weezer songs. Period.
Yeah. Yeah. Across the Sea. This is like the longest song on the album, so
Yeah,
it's almost kind of like the epic, centerpiece of like the album.
yeah,
And yeah, it starts off with the piano, and then it goes kind of mid tempo, and then it breaks down. Kind of breaks down a little bit. And then all of a sudden, yeah, like comes back in, like just going for it, man. And yeah, dude, it's really, really good tune, man. I like this. I like this one a lot.
yeah,
And I can't wait to actually get a physical copy of the album because I really want to listen to it on vinyl or CD or something on like a good stereo. And
yeah.
it's gonna sound bombastic, I think.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, I was just playing this on my stereo right before I got on with you, but I only made it to side one before it was time to start. And it ends with Across the Sea, and of course, I gave that a five rating. You flip it, and side two, it's going to start with The Good Life.
Yes.
Again, it starts with just a little snap and a great drum beat going into that track. Once again, Pat Wilson is just fantastic on there. The bass and drums are perfect rhythm. the harmonizing, very well written track. One of those tracks where the confusion of just a second and then having a real relationship cross the lines. That's what the whole song is about. You think that everything's going great, and then something happens, and
I think
everything.
it was inspired by his leg surgery. I think
Oh,
like
okay,
when he
well,
had his leg surgery, I was reading up on it a
yeah,
little bit, and he said that his leg surgery, and the pain that he was in, and that's another thing about like a lot of the songs his album is so you could feel the pain, dude. That he
yeah,
was really kind of like he seemed like he was really torn, like and in pain with rock stardom life, dude. Like he was at a crossroads, man. Like he didn't know. He's kind of trying to find himself, man. You know, and again, man. I mean, that just the good life. Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off, or you can
no, man,
continue
please
on.
go ahead with your view of that song.
No, what I was reading, it was inspired
Yeah,
by his leg surgery and
okay,
that he was, couldn't walk for a while and just kind of there's a lot of like bitterness and anger that like he poured out and like because I think after man, I remember reading something about he kind of was embarrassed by the sound for a while after for many years actually.
wow,
He said he attributed it that he said he put himself out too much to the public, his inner like feelings and he kind of outpoured. And I remember reading an interview with him, and he said it's almost like going to a party and just getting really like shit faced drunk, and you kind of just make a fool out of yourself. You puke all over the place and you whatever, and then you don't remember about it. And the next day, you kind of like wake up and like, I think I made a fool out of myself at this party. Like I outpoured everything I had, and then it's like almost kind of people made fun of it. You know what I mean? So I think he was kind of embarrassed by his sound for a while, but I think he's come around to it. But he was like, man, I really put myself out there on this album. You know, so that's what I get from it anyway.
yeah, yeah. You see, I really didn't pay attention that much to the leg surgery, so I always attribute this to a relationships that he was having coinciding with what I was going through at that time because like
Yeah,
this was 96 and I was just 96 I was just 19 going to 20, so I was going through all these different
of course, man. Yeah, you're
emotions of
becoming
the
a man.
pain.
You know.
Yeah, so that's why this album just grabbed my attention. um so what did you think about that track? I mean, did you like The Good Life?
Oh, I loved it. I loved it, man. Like I just said, um, he pour. He seems like he just seems like he pours his heart out, like the way he sings,
Yeah,
and stuff. It's like, and I could see kind of like where the emo kind of influence, kind of because emo like bands and stuff like point to this album as like a big influence, and like I kind of see it in this like singing style and things like that. So he kind of has that sort of singing style. But again, I kind of, even though I'm not a big fan of emo, this album is still great in my opinion. Even though
yeah,
you know, so but I like the song a lot.
yeah. Oh yeah, it's a great one. The track number 7, El Squatcho, rock and roll. The track I can see being on the Blue album. I can really see on the
This was the one. Yeah, go ahead, man. You talk
yeah.
about it and I'll talk.
And once again, a messy bridge, a very messy bridge, and I love it. It goes from a smooth beat and it transitions into a pavement kind of sound. This track reminded me a lot of Pavement, and then back to settle to a previous smooth beat. Um, I really like the change on this album. I'm sorry, on this song, because there's a lot of changes on here. A lot of tempos being thrown at you to coincide with a feeling of what
Yeah,
was going on. And once again, El Scorcho it ranks at number 5 for me.
yeah. This was the first single off the album, and I
Yeah,
remember this was the. I remember uh, actually they played it. This song got some airplay, like in my New York City area. There was an alternative station that was playing it, and they played it a lot. And then I was like, yeah, Weezer's kind of back, man. But like again, I didn't. it was just one of those rare things. I heard it, I liked it, but I didn't go out and buy the album. So I don't know why. There might have been other things I was like really more into at the time then. And Weezer, I was kind of sort of over it, you know. And but I did enjoy the track. I remember hearing it on the radio, and it got some airplay. And it's a great tune, man. You know, the lyrics something like some sort of like leg drop of grunge through a table, or something not R&B, but New Jack. It was like a New Jack swing getting a leg drop.
And the beat, yeah.
Yeah, you know. It was just funny to me. I kind of thought this is probably the most. I can see why they kind of released this as a single. I guess it kind of, like you said, it was probably the most Blue-like album track on the album.
Was.
Yeah, so, but I'm surprised like it didn't like elevate the album and make more people go out and buy it. You know, it's just weird, man. People are fickle, man. It's just I don't know. It's just so weird, man. How like certain albums don't hit, and you think they should, and I don't know. It's just kind of a weird thing, man.
You know, we see it all over Facebook and all of our groups. You hear people say, "Well, I didn't like it because that's not what I was expecting," or "That's not what I want to hear from them."
Yeah,
You know, and 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 you hear that a lot, and that can really pull down an album for someone saying, "Ah, well, that's not what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear Blue Part 2."
Yeah,
You know?
Exactly. And I'm sure people
that's
are
not what they
expecting
did.
that, and people were expecting that. I'm
Yeah.
sure, you know. And a lot of bands do that too, man. They hit them with that formula, and then they'll milk that formula out, man. And that's why I give Weezer a lot of credit. They didn't do that. They just went a completely different direction, man. And I commend it. You know, in the long run, and maybe that's probably why they've had longevity. You know, the same thing with the Beastie Boys. They completely, you know, with License to Ill, that album was so huge and massive that people were expecting part 2 of that to come out, and for them to like just be like, nah, I don't want to do that, man. I want to do this, you know, and just completely do a complete 180 on that sound and go a different direction. That's a ballsy move, man. You know, and I think the fact that album was a flop and this album was a flop, and then becoming this kind of cult thing, I think that actually worked in their favor, man. It gave them longevity, and it just they didn't. You know, I think if they would have come out with a Blue Album Part 2, I think it might have kind of even killed their career. They might not even be around now. You know, who knows?
Yeah, it might have been a bigger seller, but that doesn't make for longevity.
Artistically, you know, yeah. So
exactly. I mean, look at us now. We're still talking about this album almost 30 years.
30
later.
years? Yeah, 30 years, almost 30 years later, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I loved it. I love El Scorcho. I do like it a lot, dude. You know, and I remember liking it when I first heard it. I was like, that's great, you know. And then, you know, that's really the only probably. I mean, it wasn't even a hit, really. It was kind of a semi, I guess, hit. But
yeah, because it was released and it wasn't.
There was a video for it too.
Yeah,
there was a video for it.
Yeah, and there was also a video for The Good Life too.
Yeah,
but it wasn't a big hit like the way it was when they did the Blue album and they stuck themselves into a Happy Days episode. You know? It wasn't gimmicky. You know what I mean? So more power to them, man. That's why they're still around.
Yeah.
Number 8, man. Pink Triangle. I never knew what a Pink Triangle was until years later. And hearing this song, I was like, oh, now I get it. I'm dumb. She's a lesbian. I thought I found the one. We were good as Married in My Mind, but Married in My Mind's no good. Pink Triangle. I love that, man. The way they bring that back. I gave this song a 5. I thought it was a fantastic song. Really good lyrics. It was funny, and it was a hilarious outcome. And then the great guitar solo on it, which really made this track a really good, punchy pop punk song.
Yeah,
you know. And I could have seen this being written by No Effects easily, you know, because No Effects has touched on that subject several times.
Oh, okay.
What do you think about Pink Triangle, man?
Oh, great track, man. And the funny thing is, like, I remember when I used to read the track listing and I'd Pink Triangle, I'm like, is he talking about like a vagina? I always just, I don't know, man. I don't know why, but Pink Triangle supposedly is a symbol of like a gay,
Gay.
for the gay community,
Right.
you know. And I think I read something like he used to, I don't know if he saw somebody in school or something that had some girl that had the pink triangle on her sleeve,
Right.
and he just sort of assumed that, um, oh, it was, I guess, that was a symbol that was used back in the World War II times by German Nazis to brand people as they were gay. Like they used to put that symbol on
Uh-huh.
people that were gay, and so that they can identify them as being gay people. I
Wow,
guess
I didn't know that.
probably to eventually like exterminate them. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would assume so. You know,
Right.
and yeah, I was reading up on it, and that was thing. But the girl had it, and it was forced. She wasn't a lesbian herself, but she was supporting the gay community. She was supporting that. That's why she had it as a symbol on her sleeve. That's what I read Rivers talk about, and that's why he kind of, it was a way kind of he wrote this song around that too. You know, he assumed that she was lesbian, but she was
Yeah.
not. You know, but it kind of inspired him to write this song. So yeah, great track, man, and it does have humor in it. You know, it's a lot of humor.
Yes. Yeah.
So
And which, if he had written that and it came out 2 or 3 years ago, that would
yeah,
have just been just, who knows,
yeah, yep,
because of the lack of sense of humor in society today.
yeah,
It
exactly,
just
yeah, yeah,
means who knows what,
yeah,
instead of instead of a nice story that something happened, and
yeah, yeah.
but it would have been blown way, way, way out of
Out of proportion.
proportion, of course.
Yeah,
So that's why it's so great,
yeah.
because it's a hidden track that it's pretty cool.
And
Track number, yeah,
I love the way, like, I love the way the Good Life, El Scorcho, and Pink Triangle, they kind of like blend. I don't know. It's the way they mixed, kind of, not mixed, but the way they kind of sequence the album, the way they kind of blend into each other is kind of really cool. I kind
with
of
the
noticed
music,
that.
yeah,
Yeah, if you kind of put those three songs and you listen to those three songs back to back, it's the way they kind of go into each other. It's really kind of cool. It's almost like a mini. I mean, in a way, you could kind of call this album a concept album.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
it,
yeah. You can,
if it's really inspired by Man and Butterfly, it really is.
yeah.
So, yeah,
And if you listen closely, those three songs are pretty much connected in a way with the music as it flows
yeah,
to each track. And
exactly.
and these are the only three tracks that they actually do that. They actually do connect them.
Yeah,
Yeah. Track number 9, "Falling for You." Um, it's always been just a throwaway track for me. To me, it's just been I could take it or leave it, and this is the only song on the album that I feel that way about. And one song out of 10 ain't bad, man. you know.
yeah.
So that's how I felt about "Falling for You."
Um, I like the song actually. Again, noisy guitars, and it starts out mellow, and then it goes into like a noisy. I don't know, man. It's just some of this album actually reminded me of like a Cheap Trick too, like the sound of it. And I know Cheap Trick was probably a big influence on Weezer, and I think Rivers Cuomo has admitted that, because they were a power pop band way back in the
Right.
'70s, with loud guitars, and I just always thought of Weezer as this kind of the same kind of vein, man, kind of almost like a Cheap Trick, kind of heavy guitars, but with pop hooks and
And menacing
great
lyrics.
great vocals and
Yeah.
the lyrics, very very kind of, because Rick Nielsen wrote the lyrics, man, and Cheap Trick, and I mean this one has like a dark, like kind of twisting, kind of,
Hidden messages.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, and I see that the kind of early Cheap Trick kind of influence like in that too, because when you listen to those early Cheap Trick albums, man, lyrically, man, there's some heavy shit in there, man, and
Yeah.
it's not It's not fluffy, but see, when you put like heavy lyrics and like real dark lyrics, but you put it up against a nice pop hook or like a thing, it goes over people's heads, man. They don't
Yeah.
understand how dark the song really kind of underlying dark themes like some of these songs have, dude. You know what I mean? So yeah, so I do like this song. I don't think for me it's not a filler track,
Oh, okay.
but but like again, like I have to delve into this album a lot more and more, and really make it like an. I think it's going to end up being probably my favorite, Weezer album as well.
Yeah.
As I've been listening to it,
Yeah,
so
it's always been. I mean, I just haven't heard one.
I love when bands take left turns, man. I love there's just something about, you know, when Kiss like did The Elder or like things like that. It might not be everybody's cup of tea, but I love it when bands take chances, man. And sometimes they fall on their face, but I don't know. It still ends up being a great album in my opinion. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
we're
and
not typical like you know fair weather fans. We're
right.
just music lovers that appreciate art, and this is very artistic. This album, you know.
Yeah, and also when we find bands that we love, we follow them through the thick and thin.
Yeah,
That's what and especially when it comes to rock music. I've said this before, because when they're songwriters, they write about what they know. They talk about their life, so
yeah,
you kind of follow them through their struggles,
yeah,
their triumphs,
yeah,
in their personal lives, and it's
yeah,
a fantastic. The last track called Butterfly, like Madam Butterfly.
yeah.
I love this closer. I really pay attention to a closer to see if they really tie an album together with the last track, and they really hit the ball out of the ballpark with Butterfly. It's the only acoustic track on this album. It's slow. It's just him, and I think Pat comes in with a little bit of snare here and there. It's a perfect in track, emotional lyrics, and it's sung. It's sung with a real feel to it. And there's a line on there that says, "I told you I will return when the robin makes its nest, but I ain't ever coming back." And that's the way that Modern
Wow.
Butterfly ends,
Yeah,
because Pinkerton tells her that I'll be back when the robin makes its nest. Because she does have there's a consultant, and a American consultant, and she's asking him, are there different seasons that robins make their nest in America? Because here they make them yearly. Is there something different that I don't know? Because that's what he told her, that he'll come back when the robin makes its nest.
oh, okay.
And that's how this album ends, is with that line.
Yeah,
You know, and
that's pretty heavy, man.
it just ties it up perfectly, man.
Yeah, yeah. The emotion that he puts forth in this song, just kind of singing it, it's pretty heavy, man.
Yeah,
And it sums up a pretty heavy album. Not I'm just not talking musically, but like, you know, I mean lyrically, man. It's just,
and you
he
can
pours.
hear it in his voice, dude. You can just feel it.
Yeah, you can
You
feel it,
can
man.
you can tell there was no overdubbing. There
Yeah.
wasn't no like, oh, I didn't get
You
that part.
sang, yeah, you sang a little flat here or whatever. Just leave it in, man.
Yeah,
It's just the pure emotion, raw emotion, of his
yeah,
voice and his lyrics. I mean, again, man, he poured his heart and soul onto this album. He put it all out there,
yeah.
his all, and I could kind of see him being kind of pulling away from it after, but I think we all go through these things, man. Like, when we're kids, and we enter into adulthood and we start having life experiences and
Yeah.
we go through certain things, man. Like, we put ourselves really out there and then kind of get embarrassed by it. But I think when we get older, you kind of look back on it and like through all your life experiences, everybody has their ups and downs, man. And it's just you're writing your life's book, man. It's not always going to be life at the top, man. You're going to have
Ups and downs.
ups and downs, man. I mean, people put it out there like they live this glamorous life, and there's so much, just smoke and mirrors on, especially now in the internet age, and
Yeah.
oh man, I'm doing great, and deep down inside, man, you're not. dude. You're not
Yeah, you're living like everybody else, man. You
exactly,
know,
man.
there's a
You
crappy
know,
day here and there. You go to work, you come home, same shit.
yeah, yeah.
But it's great though at the same time. Um, but this track, this whole album was fantastic. It really hit me at the right time, at the right age, and
It's
I've
one of those,
carried that.
yeah.
Yeah, and I really carried it with me. It's in my top 20 of all time. Of my personal top 20, and that's how I feel about this album. I am out of 50 points, it garnered 45
Wow.
out of 50.
Yeah, it's
So
great, man.
this was a straight A album for me.
Yeah, yeah. No, man, I definitely, man. Like I said before, I really like enjoyed listening to this, man, and yeah, I need to go. I need to own a physical copy of this. It's just one of those that just passed me by, and I never went out and bought one. But I'm just gonna order one, or go to a record store like I like to do. What's funny, man? It's like down here in Florida, man. There's tons of record stores, man.
Yeah.
You know, every time like I work in a different area, and if I'm far from where I live, I always like pull up. When I'm done with a job and I'm getting ready to go back to the office. Hey, is there a record store around this area? And usually there is, man. I'll pop in and check it out, man. And there's a lot of them around in Florida down here. So I'm blessed to have a lot of that stuff here, man. You know, so I don't know how many record stores are around you're in Texas, but is there quite a few or?
Oh yeah, there's quite a few. There's at least 10 in driving distance from my house
Oh,
that
cool.
I go to on a
Yeah.
regular basis. And I know that when I'm looking for an album, you always hear people, oh well, just order it. It'll come straight to your house the next day.
I like going to a record store,
But
man.
I love to go to a record store because you never know what you're going to find.
Yeah.
Never know. You might be looking for something and say, "Oh my god, I didn't even know that this existed." You know?
I've, I've been on a big kick lately of going to like thrift stores, actually, like
Yeah.
Goodwill stores. I know a lot of times you find like garbage there, but
Oh yeah.
sometimes you
A lot of
do.
guy, a lot of Guy Lombardo.
Yeah, but sometimes you find stuff, and I found a
Yeah.
couple that were really good. Like Squeeze album that my wife really loves Squeeze, so I picked
Oh
this
yeah.
one up, and we're actually going to go see them live in a couple months.
Oh,
So um, that's cool. And then there was this little Steven album and the Disciples of Soul. This
yeah, I
this is
see that a
all like,
lot.
huh?
I see that around a lot, but I never pick it up. Is it good?
I haven't listened to it yet, but
Yeah.
I mean, for a dollar, what could you go wrong? You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
So there was a Crowded House album I picked up.
Oh yeah, I could tell
Um,
that album cover from back there.
and
It's
even
like,
like even though I have this album already, there was one there, and I had to. I'll probably like gift it to somebody. You know what I mean?
it's
You
just
know?
like that thing you were talking about earlier. To
Yeah.
pay it forward.
This one is Sergeant Pepper's like the movie soundtrack.
Yes, dude, I've been looking for that. You found that?
I found this at a thrift store.
Wow.
So yeah, man, I never had this soundtrack. I mean, it's got obviously the Bee Gees and Peter Frampton, and
Yeah.
it's got the Aerosmith coming together. That's the kind of the most famous song from here. But even Alice Cooper's on here,
Yeah.
and
And
it's
George
really
Burns
cool.
is
So,
on there.
huh?
George Burns is on there.
I know, but it's
Yeah.
so I found this, man. It was like $2 or whatever.
Wow. And it's a double, isn't it?
It's a double, yeah, double
Yeah.
album, double gatefold. I mean, the album is a little, it's got damage to it, but it's got the gatefold. It's not bad though,
Yeah.
it's the. I found this Eric Clapton one. There's one in every
There's
crowd.
one in every crowd. That's a pretty
Yeah.
good
And then I found this weird, and I never knew they did an album together, but it was Carmine Apiece and Rick Derringer. They did a
one.
project called DNA, and this came out in 1983. And they did it out. Like, I mean, I never even heard of it, man. But it was there. It was $1. So I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, I gotta get it, man. It's like Carmine Apiece is one of the great drummers and stuff.
Yeah.
So
And
he's done some of
Derringer
the,
is fantastic. I
and
like
Rick Derringer too. Yeah, Rick Derringer. So it was like thrift stores. I mean, this was like a good score that day.
Yeah, it really is. That's like a dream.
Yeah,
All those.
and
And you also found that lather by Zappa.
yes, yeah, this one. I already had this on CD, But I
Right.
found it was like just, dude, I could have picked up honestly, I could have picked up this whole catalog on
Yeah.
CD. I mean, it was like almost everyone. I mean, and he has tons of. I mean, I just kept finding one after the other.
Yeah.
It must have been somebody that had this collection just dumped it, in
Wow.
a thrift store. But I mean, they were like asking $4 a CD, and I'm like, yeah, for a thrift store, it's a bit much,
Yeah.
So I didn't really want to go all out and buy like everything. If it were $1 each,
Yeah.
I probably would have bought up his whole catalog. Whatever was missing from my collection. But
Right.
I actually have a friend of mine that didn't have this one, so I'm going to send this to him. And because I already have this on CD, but it's so good, man. When you want to introduce people to Zappa, this is like one of the albums that I
Good
kind
one.
of
Yeah.
tend to do. So I know you have that one on vinyl. You said,
I
right?
do. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. So yeah, man, that's what I got. Anyway, we got a little off topic here, but
Yeah. That's all right.
always fun.
Yeah. It's always fun. But that's the great thing about going to go look for
Records.
hard physical media, hard copies of
Yeah,
music. You never know what you're gonna find out there. You
exactly.
know?
Yeah, yeah.
So I've been like on a little Elvis kick lately.
Oh, yeah.
I think I had mentioned this last time, but this was a cool one. This was his his NBC show,
Was that this? Yes, yeah,
his comeback NBC show.
yeah.
And
68 comeback special, right?
yeah, it's the original soundtrack recording from this NBC special. And if y'all saw the movie Elvis that came out probably about 3 years ago, which
Yeah,
I thought was fantastic, it
yeah.
got me into the Elvis kick to begin with. They go into quite a bit about the NBC special, about the
Mm,
producers and the Colonel and what they wanted Elvis to do and what the Colonel didn't want Elvis to do because it was just supposed to be a Christmas special.
yeah.
They turned it around to a rambunctious performance, you know.
Dude,
So
I gotta say, man, that's probably the 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 concert that he does where he's in the round. Where he's got the black leather suit on.
yeah,
That's like one of my favorite Elvis concerts ever, performances,
performances.
because
Yeah,
it's just that him and it's just him raw with like the couple dudes from his band, and just
yeah,
like he's just such a badass on that, man. I think that whole leather suit. I mean, he just looks like such a fucking rock star, you know. And the girls are just like The girls are just like sitting at they're just at the stage, just like looking at him, like like they want him so bad, you know. It's like,
and that was after he was making one just bad movie after another. Scare 'em, and kissing cousins, and
yeah,
you
that's why
know,
they call this his comeback.
yeah, because after making those good movies like Jailhouse Rock and even Blue Hawaii was pretty good. But
Yeah,
it just started to get so saturated, and so
yeah, he was overexposing himself, kind of with the movie thing, you know.
no, or that's what the Colonel wanted him to do. So
Yeah,
that's where management led him.
yeah,
You know.
yeah.
All right, hate to say goodnight, brother, but do you? But there's no episode next week. But what's going on the week after? You got an idea?
I don't have it. I got to brainstorm an idea, man.
Right.
I don't have anything yet, but I'm sure I'll come up with something
Oh, of course you will.
interesting. And so yeah, no show next week, right?
Yeah, no show.
Okay.
No show.
Well, we're gonna be going into June, and then that's my birthday month.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna be coming up with some sort of theme. You know how I like to do theme months. I didn't get to do one this month in May, but that's all right. We all had our different things. Plus,
Yeah,
I'm trying to get my show with me and my daughter off the ground too. The Knowledge Nerds. We
yeah.
haven't filmed. We only filmed the first 2 episodes, and we her birthday kind of came, and she's just ending school too, so we've all been busy with kind of that. But
Yeah,
this,
it's like everything else.
yeah, just this coming Sunday, we're hoping to get back on track and film another episode. So, and
I want to know what
Kristen,
you thought about Violator.
yeah, I haven't asked her yet, man, but she says she has listened to it.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to hear what she thinks of it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So
I think I bought it when I was like in the ninth grade, almost her age when I bought that album when it first came out.
Yeah,
It's so
she
good.
just turned
It's so
16,
different.
so
Yeah,
yeah.
it's such a different album compared to what I was listening to at the time.
Yeah, yeah. I love that album, man.
Yeah,
Depeche Mode, that's when they really fucking went through the stratosphere, like
oh yeah,
popularity and everything. I remember like they were like one of the biggest bands at that time.
in the
You know,
world because they went on, they toured the world for a couple of years off that album, man.
yeah. It
Yeah,
really kind of started with music for the masses, but then when it hit that album, just kind of just they just continued. They became a world band,
yeah,
really, you know. So I'm interested to get her perspective on it. So
yeah. Me
hopefully
too.
this Sunday we'll film the episode and we'll review each other's homework assignments. I'm trying to think of a real good homework assignment for her. So you
Yeah,
know,
because I was looking for that episode to hear about.
yeah, we're gonna do it this Sunday, so we'll get it on.
Speaking of Sunday, that's my Neil Young makeup show.
Oh, so is that when the show's gonna happen?
Yeah, this Sunday.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
My friend just saw the show up in New York, man.
yeah,
He thought it was great, man. And
yeah. William Troth just saw him in Toronto
yeah,
yesterday, I think, or Monday.
he's coming out here to Florida too. I
Oh, is
think.
he?
I think he is. Yeah. So hopefully I can catch him too.
Yeah.
You know.
He said it was just it. It was a Neil Young Crazy Horse kind of show.
Is
Just
Neil Young?
loud
Is
and
he
everything.
80 yet? He's not 80 years old yet, is
No,
he?
but I think he's like 78 or 79.
He's getting close, man.
Yeah, he's getting close to. I don't know if this is going to be his going away or his retirement, but dude, when I'm 80 years old, don't ask me to do shit when I'm 80.
Yeah, I
And
know.
these dudes, I mean, it's in their blood. It goes back to, you hear about bands still touring and why don't they stop? They've been doing that. But dude, that's their job.
Yeah, that's their life. That's all they know, man.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's like someone telling us, you're too old, man. Why don't you quit? No. I mean, this is my job. This is my livelihood. This is my life.
Yeah. Speaking of 80-year-olds, I mean, yeah, my family, my wife, my daughter, and a bunch of people were going to see the Stones.
Yeah.
I think it's like June 3rd, so it's coming up soon. And she's excited, man. So I might make the homework assignment kind of a Stones related thing,
Oh,
actually.
cool. Yeah.
So
Have you seen them before?
yeah, I saw them before the pandemic, and
Okay.
that was the first time I ever saw them up in New Jersey,
Okay.
and it was a month after Mick had like open heart surgery, and here he is running around the stage like a fucking teenager. I'm like, this guy's like an enigma, man.
I can't do that now.
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah,
But anyway, man, I don't want to run the show any longer. So
I saw him like in 2000.
yeah,
What was when I saw him? They were phenomenal.
oh yeah, yeah.
All right,
Every time they tour,
yeah.
you got to treat it as like the last time. You never know, man. And now Charlie Watts isn't going to be with them, so it's kind of when I saw them, he was still alive, and now I'm going to get to see him, and he's not going to be there. It was going to be kind of weird, but
Yeah.
I think as long as Mick and Keith are around, I think they're never going to stop, man. So
Yeah, but I think when one of them decides to stop, or
that'll be it. Yeah.
yeah, it's going to have to be.
It can't be without either of those two.
No,
Those two are,
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So, all right, man. Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for dedicating your time to this album. Thank you so much for really respecting the album that I chose. Thank you so much.
I really have a newfound respect for it, man, and I'm glad you did this. So I dug it, man.
Yeah, well, when we do these albums, hopefully we can turn each other on to that band, because like the way you did with me and April Wine,
Yeah.
I really didn't hear that much from them at all, and now I'm trying to gather as much as I can from them.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, brother.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks for watching, and we will see y'all back in 2 weeks. Tomorrow, I'll be on the BS sessions with Mark and Jerry. Minus Jerry, because Jerry's on vacation, and we're going to be doing our top 11 albums. No, not albums at all. In fact, it's movies.
Coming of age.
11 coming of age movies. Yeah.
Back. Can't wait to see what you guys pick, man.
Yeah. Mine's kind of like I didn't go that far off to like movies that people won't know. I mean, mine are pretty popular
Yeah,
picks.
yeah,
When it comes to movies, I stick to that. I don't go
yeah,
deep tracks.
yeah.
All right, guys, we will see y'all later. Thanks again for watching our show here on the Black Spinner Vidcast. We are very humble that you watch us, and we really appreciate it. Y'all take care. We'll see y'all in a couple of weeks.
Cheers. Have a great night.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye.